I think if I were to equate the difficulties of living by the first 5 precepts of Buddhism, to not destroy life, to not take anything that is not freely given, to avoid and not commit falsehood, to not commit sexual misconduct, and to not consume intoxicants that would cloud your thinking or cause carelessness. If I were to equate the difficulties of living the first 5 precepts of Buddhism with something more people would be familiar with, it is the same struggle you would find when trying to live life according to the ethics set out by the 10 Commandments. Westerners, especially Americans, struggle with living by ethical boundaries because our culture is so young that we don't have examples to look to. We don't have hundreds of years or thousands of years of cultural traditions about people who learn to live by these ethics. When we then take on a philosophy or religion from another culture, what often gets lost in the translation is that historical example of the work it takes to be able to live according to those ethics. We embrace things as ideas, but we then struggle to live them as a reality. A lot of emphasis gets placed on lip service and personal belief about our capabilities of living by these ethical guidelines, but it has no practical basis in reality. To be ethical requires action as well as thought. To learn to live by ethics requires more than memorization or embracing it mentally. There's a process of testing to see where you are in the reality of it. When we stay in the place of just thinking we believe something, something awful happens. You can think that you're shaping a life according to the precepts or any faith or any ethics, only to discover that it will fail you when life takes a turn for the worse. And you can also very, very quickly, when you adopt these ideals, become a rock-solid hypocrite, because you've rendered yourself incapable of seeing through your own illusion of being an ethical person. This happens because we don't know how to have these ethics written in our body. They are not how we breathe. They are not how we move. They are not part of the food our blood carries to our cells. We pray, we meditate, but it's on an ideal. And that is how illusions begin. We can convince ourselves of anything when we base it on a delusion. But reality will always show up to strip away the falsehood of where we really are and who we really are. Reality means you work to make these ethical boundaries a part of your mental, emotional, and physical life, so that there is no separation between you and the ethics and the life and the world and the universe. A good example is the first precept, to avoid the destruction of life. Many people take this on as an ideal and avoid the destruction of physical life to the best of their ability. Maybe they become anti-death penalty activists, or they make a habit of carrying spiders outside rather than smush them in the comfort and privacy of their own home. But what they miss is the depth of this simple precept. Life is about so much more than the physical. When we wish to avoid the destruction of life, first we must learn what it means to destroy. We can do that in thought, in word, as well as in deed. When we blame others, put them down, make fun of them, ignore them, even in just our thoughts, we are destroying life. When we engage in racism or classism, sexism, or any other ism, we destroy life. when we blame ourselves, put ourselves down, belittle ourselves, choose to remain in sickness, act selfishly, or have tunnel vision, we are destroying life. And you don't learn how not to do this once, and you're good. You don't go and you take a 3-hour workshop and I know what I'm doing now. You don't go buy a book and read it and now you're good for all time. This is a lifelong process. You're never done with any of them. You never get them fully right because you're always returning to remind yourself to be vigilant, to be present, to make right choice. Precept training helps you to realize the expanse and depth of the first 5 of these precepts and to gain the skills to begin to do the work, to live life according to their boundaries. The training helps you to see where your delusions and illusions are. And once you can face how you trick yourself, you can begin to stand in reality. You can begin to be present with the kind of strength that comes from the integrity of knowing that who you think you are is who you really